Three. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Solo Black 313 Rise and Ride coming at you. And as you can tell in the thumbnail, Project Katana 2000, well, it was a fail. Sorta. Let's talk about it. Hey, thanks for stopping back by. Well, let's get right into it. As some of you guys know, 5 months ago, I got this here Katana from a resident that was moving from one of the properties that we managed. In the course of a maintenance work order being done, we discovered we had a passion for motorcycles and for riding. Now, the resident told me that he had a motorcycle and he was moving and he didn't want to take it with him. And he told me what kind it was, and he had it in his garage and it had been sitting for 15 years. Wow, 15 years. So I said, okay, he told me he would make me an offer that I couldn't refuse, and he told me he wanted $200 for the motorcycle. And he showed me the motorcycle. It had been sitting in his garage for 15 years, unstarted. So as we got further into conversation, he told me that he had the motor rebuilt because he had a problem with it. Now, he purchased the bike. This is a one-owner bike. He purchased the bike in 2000. He said he blew the motor in 2003. He had it rebuilt, and after that, because of death of one of his friends on a motorcycle who he rode with, he just lost all interest in riding the bike. I've heard of that happening before. I've lost some friends. Fortunate for me, that it never made me want to stop riding a motorcycle. All right, so we worked the deal out. I gave him $200 for the bike, and the bike became mine. Now, in the process of that, I did a 10-part series on bringing this bike back to life, and that's what I did. Why did I name this segment Being a Failure? Well, it wasn't a failure of anything I did to the bike. And like I said, I did a 10-part series. I cleaned the carburetors. Put a new sprocket on there. Did a full tune-up, air filter, oil change, spark plug change. I even attempted to clean the gas tank out. Now, the biggest failure for this bike was this gas tank. He lost the key to the filler tank, the filler neck, and he ripped off the gas cap. And it sat open for those 15 years and it rusted out. Plus, he did not take the gas out of it, and it ruined the gas tank. In one of the videos I did, I tried to clean it. That's one of the fails that happened with this bike. When I cleaned the tank out, I used muriatic acid and a tank lighter. The muriatic acid did a fantastic job on cleaning the tank, but the tank had holes in it. So I thought if I put the filler in there, I could fill those holes in it. Total disaster, didn't work, and I couldn't straighten out the filler neck on the gas tank where you put the gas in. It was just impossible because it was so beat up. So like I said, after I did all of the repairs to the bike, got the bike running, the last thing I did was the carburetors. Put the carburetors on the bike ran. Okay, then a few days later, I listed it on Facebook Market. Now, I got a hit in 2 days after listing the bike on Facebook. Talked to a gentleman, he had always wanted a Katana. He just got his motorcycle safety endorsement and he was ready to buy a bike, and I was ready to sell. So he came over, he looked at the bike, we started it up, he liked it. I did tell him about the gas tank. I told him he would need to purchase a new gas tank and purchase some new tires because these are the original tires. Well, not the original. They were put on this bike in 2003. There's a wear date, there's a manufacturer date on these tires of 2003. And I told them, hey, look, you're gonna have to get new tires. Now, here's the thing about it. 5 months ago when I put air in these tires, they are still holding air and they haven't lost a bit of pressure. But the chemical breakdown is starting to happen. There's cracking in the tires and it's unsafe to ride at any great distance for any great length. And I really wanted to stress that to him. He needed to get new tires, and that was cool. So we came to a deal of $1,800. Fine. He told me it would take him 2.5 weeks. He'd come back and pick the bike up. I said, fine, that's what'll happen. So when he came to look at the bike, the fairings were off, the gas tank was off, the seat was off. So I had 2 weeks to get the bike back together. And in that 2 weeks' time, I put the fairings back on there, I put the gas tank back on there. Even though it's not working, I still wanted to have the gas tank on there. Put the seat back on there. But then I decided, well, look, let me drive this thing. I'm just gonna drive it for the last 2 weeks because I had only ridden the bike in the 5 months that I had it. I had only ridden it one time. So I started riding the bike, going to the gas station, getting gas in it, going to the market, picking up groceries, things of that nature. One night I came back in, I parked the bike, and the next morning I came back out to do something to it. I noticed some oil on the floor. Okay, no big deal. I got a little oil leak. Because I put a new sprocket cover on there, I thought that might have worked its way loose, but I checked it and it wasn't. So I pulled the gas tank back off and I looked at the valve covers, and at the number 3 plug, I noticed some oil on the top. Okay, cool, no big deal. So I wiped the oil off the number 3 spark plug, where the number 3 spark plug goes, and no big deal. I took off. I came back 2 days later and then I saw more oil. So I immediately went back, pulled the gas tank off and looked, but there was no oil on at the number 3 spark plug hole. Now I think that happened from when I was riding the bike. The oil leaked up, but after I wiped the oil up and didn't ride the bike again for 2 days and I still had oil on the floor, I pulled the flarings off. And right at the valve covers, where the valve covers meet the top of the motor, that's where I saw a leak. And at that point, I couldn't sell a bike because I didn't have time to break the bike down before he wanted to buy it. So unfortunately for me, I called the gentleman back. I said, hey, look, man, this bike is not ready to sell. I could not in any good conscience sell you the bike in the condition that it was in. He was kind of sad about it, but he appreciated me being honest. So that was another fail. I didn't sell the bike because I really wanted to get the bike running and flip it. I wasn't trying to make a huge profit. I just wanted to get my money back for the parts I had spent in it and the tools I had bought, because this bike is carbureted. And so I bought a carburation sync tool. And I brought a compression tool. And I put oil filter, did the brakes, brake fluid. So I just wanted to recoup a little bit of my money. If I'd have made a couple $100 profit, that would have been fine. I've learned some things about being in a situation where someone offers me a bike. I'll never buy another motorcycle again that I don't really want or need or care about. In some of my videos, you might have noticed the tone in my voice when I talked about this bike. I started riding on a Katana, but it was a mid-80s Katana750. This is a 2000 Katana750. I'm not really into this bike. This is classified as a sport tourer. You guys know I already have a sport tourer. I have a 2004 Honda ST1300. Now, I don't dislike it, but it's just not something that I would have normally bought under any circumstances. The only reason why I got it is because it was 200 bucks. I'm being honest about that. But if you watch some of my videos when I talk about this bike, about what I'm gonna do with it, you can see it in my voice and in my tone and in my body language that this is a bike that I am not really attracted to. Let me tell you the kind of bike that would have made me really passionate about it, maybe to the point where I might not even want to sell it. In one of my videos, I ran across a 2002 Honda VFR 800, which is also a sport touring. It's more sport than touring, but that bike, I would have been a lot more passionate about completing the repairs. This bike should have been taken apart, broke down completely, and put back together. I didn't do that. That's my fault. That's a fail I'll look at. Because I didn't have a passion for the bike, I didn't put my all into it. I just wanted to get it running and get it out of here. Now, that's leading up to the next part of this video. I think what I'm gonna do to this bike is I'm going to cafe style this Katana. I've been looking at some videos of guys taking this same Katana750 and making it more like a cafe racer. And believe it or not, I like that style of how these guys have taken this bike and they've cut it down, and they've taken the fairings off, and they've modified the fairings, and they put a bigger wheel in the front, a bigger wheel in the back. I think that's what I'm going to do with this bike. I'm going to completely strip it down. I'm going to pull the motor because I found the leak. I'm going to take care of this and just do it all over again. Now, even when I cleaned the carburetors, that was a good thing. The time that I did ride the bike ran really, really well. But one day I was sitting here, like I say, in the process of putting the bike together to get it ready for the gentleman to buy. I had rode the bike so it was completely warm. And then when I was letting the bike sit, it cut off. So I got the bike started off again, and it ran for a second, and then it cut off. Immediately, I thought at that point, I should have rebuilt the carburetors, not just cleaned them with the ultrasonic clean, which did a fantastic job because the bike ran so much better after I did ultrasonic clean these carburetors, without a doubt. But these carburetors have been not ridden for 15 years. When the bike started cutting off after it was warm, I started thinking there's a float problem. So once again, I'm going to take this bike, completely strip it down, take the carburetors back off, get a carburetor kit, rebuild it, pull the heads, and start from scratch. Now, to make this a cafe, I know I'll be needing to do some welding. I have never welded before, but I want to learn how to weld. So I'm gonna go out and buy a welder, and I'm going to cut and weld and make this bike a cafe racer. It's 2024. And if you look at my videos, I've had 4 different garages that I rented out in 4 years. I'm tired of that. I think for 2024, I wanted to buy another project bike. I'm not going to buy another project bike. I'm going to concentrate on either buying a warehouse or renting a warehouse. Over the 4 years that I've been doing the channel, like I said, I've had 4 different garages, and I've had to give each one of them up. One was that the person that I had rented from was moving, and the move was really sudden, and I had to get out of the garage. Then I went to another garage where a friend of mine was rehabbing a house, and you can see those videos where I was in there helping them rehab the house, and the house was going to be sold, and then 9 months later, the house was sold and I had to move. And there was 2 other times. One time I lived with my sister and she didn't have a garage. And this is the first time I had ever lived someplace where I didn't have garage access and my motorcycles had to sit outside in the snow. Then I came over to the property where I'm working at now, and I found this garage, which is right across the street from a property from a friend of mine that lives here. It's kind of amazing. It's a great deal. This garage where I'm at right now is right across the street from where I work. Now, where I work is a community. It's a marina community, and it's a mixed-use community. It has townhomes, attached townhomes, and it has apartments. Fortunately for me, when I'm in this garage and I don't want to have any other bikes over there, I can always put my motorcycles in one of the 3-story apartment buildings that has underground parking. And that has worked out fantastic. But now I'm tired of that. Several years ago, back in 2006, so from 2006 to 2013, I lived and worked out of a 13,000 square foot warehouse. It was awesome. I mean, it was awesome. Loved it. Plenty of room, plenty of space. I lived there, I worked there. I could park my Bobcat, I could park my trailers in there, I could park my dump truck in there, and I actually lived there. The size of the warehouse was 13,000 square feet. So for the first 3 years I lived in the warehouse, I had the entire 13,000 square feet of warehouse to myself. Going into the 4th year, my landlord decided he liked what I was doing in part of the warehouse, and he took 9,000 square feet from me and started building other lofts on the other side of this sliding orange door that separated. So I had like 4,000 square feet and lost like 10,000 square feet. At that time, a girl I was dating moved in with me, and the warehouse was really, really open. And so when she moved in, she asked me if there was some way I could make it more private. Just make it more private because she's a female. So I did that. I built a bedroom, and I built a wall where the bathroom should have been. When I was living there, because I was single and a dude and had 3 dogs, I just had a little blind put up where the toilet was. And she didn't really like that, and she asked me if I could put at least a wall up, so I went ahead and I built her a complete bathroom. Also, because I had the dogs and they were used to being in it, they would always run in the bedroom at night and wanting to get in the bed, so I had to build a separate bedroom for my dogs to hang out. Now, it's crazy. The warehouse is, like I said, 13,000 square foot. It actually took up a 1/6 of a city block. And so I think I'm wanting to go back into a warehouse to live and work out of.